The story opens with a seasoned sheriff contemplating the legacy of lawmen who came before him. He reflects on how times have changed, and the nature of the crimes he's faced lately feels unlike anything his predecessors dealt with. One case, in particular, stands out. A mysterious man wearing a black jacket is being escorted in handcuffs by a young officer. The only item in the officer's possession is a small portable air tank. They head to the local police station. Once they arrive, the officer phones his superior to report the arrest. But as soon as the call ends, the man in black uses his metal cuffs as a deadly weapon, strangling the officer on the spot. After cleaning himself up in the restroom, he calmly exits the building, steals a police vehicle, and takes off. Out in the desert, he flags down a random motorist who assumes the man is law enforcement and obeys when asked to exit the car. Without hesitation, the man in black uses his air nozzle to fire a deadly blast into the civilian's head. Meanwhile, a lone hunter, dressed in cowboy gear, is out tracking deer. After wounding one, he follows its trail, but instead encounters a strange black dog. Curious, he trails it to a gruesome scene. Multiple dead bodies surround several vehicles, clearly the aftermath of a drug deal turned violent. He opens one of the vehicles and finds a dying man asking for water. Instead of helping, the hunter, named Llewellyn, takes the man's weapon and sets off to find any survivors. Under a tree, he finds another lifeless body, and next to it, a briefcase packed with cash. He takes both the briefcase and the pistol and quietly heads home. When he gets back, his wife Carla Jean questions where the items came from. That night, unable to sleep, Llewellyn is haunted by guilt over the dying man he left behind. Against his wife's concern, he returns to the scene with a jug of water. But he arrives too late. The man has passed. Then Llewellyn spots two figures tampering with his truck. They shoot at him, and a chase ensues. Llewellyn gets hit in the shoulder, but narrowly escapes into a river. Once ashore, he's pursued by a vicious attack dog. He barely has time to reload before killing it in self-defense. Elsewhere, the man in black walks into a quiet roadside convenience store. His presence alone is unsettling, and he soon challenges the old store clerk to a coin toss. With eerie seriousness, he asks the man to call heads or tails, implying his life hangs in the balance. The old man guesses correctly, and the stranger leaves, remarking on the coin's newfound importance. Back at the site of the shootout, the man in black arrives with two men in business suits, implied to be connected to the lost money. They inspect the carnage, and one of the men hands over a tracking device tied to the briefcase. Without warning, the man in black executes them both. The next day, the sheriff shows up at a burned-out vehicle and is joined by his deputy, Wendell. They identify the wrecked car as the one stolen by the suspect and realize it was swapped with another to confuse any pursuers. They continue searching the area and come across Llewellyn's truck, confirming his involvement. Eventually, they reach the scene of the massacre and suspect it was a drug exchange gone bad. But the presence of the dead businessman suggests a second, more calculated incident also took place. Later, the man in black arrives at Llewellyn's home. After receiving no response at the door, he uses his air tank to blast the door lock inward, leaving a dent on the far wall. Inside, he helps himself to a glass of milk and waits, but no one comes. He quietly leaves before the sheriff and Wendell arrive. The two officers survey the house and notice the fresh dent in the wall from the lock. The sheriff sees the untouched glass of milk and feels its chill, realizing they just missed the intruder. Wendell is visibly frustrated. Llewellyn finds refuge at a motel and starts preparing. He examines the room and decides to stash the money inside the ventilation shaft, tying a string around the handle before sliding it in. Meanwhile, the sheriff and Wendell review forensic reports that disturb them. The next day, Llewellyn gears up for what's to come. He books 2 rooms at the Motel -137 and 139. leaving the one in between, room 138, empty. It's a setup. Soon, the man in black's tracker begins to beep. He's close. He stops his car outside room 139 and heads inside to investigate. At the motel desk, he studies the layout and begins checking the rooms one at a time. The man in black, Anton Chigga, rents a room at the motel and quietly removes his shoes. Carrying his portable air tank, he walks to room 138. Inside, Llewellyn is in the adjacent room, trying to retrieve the briefcase from the air vent using a tent pole. Meanwhile, Chigga blasts open the lock on room 138 and storms in with a rifle. He immediately kills a man inside. Another person comes out of the bathroom and fires at Chigga, but he is gunned down as well. A third man, hiding behind the shower curtain, pleads for his life, but Chigga kills him too. From the next room, Llewellyn hears the chaos. Chigga, now inside room 138, removes his socks and starts searching for the briefcase. His attention is drawn to the air vent. Using a coin, he unscrews the panel but finds nothing inside. Llewellyn has already escaped by hitching a ride. In a sleek office, a man in a cowboy hat named Carson Wells meets with his employer. They're concerned about Anton Chigga, the hitman they had originally hired to retrieve the lost money, who is now operating independently and unpredictably. Wells is given the job of recovering both the cash and stopping Chigga. Llewellyn checks into a new motel called the Eagle Pass. He warns the clerk to inform him if any suspicious guests arrive. That night, he begins to suspect the money is being tracked. When he finds the bug inside the briefcase, he hears something unusual outside his door. Turning off the light, he grabs his shotgun and waits. He spots a shadow moving under the door. Chigga has found him. Chigga blasts the lock, and the metal bolt strikes Llewellyn in the chest. Though injured, Llewellyn manages to fire back and leaps through the motel window. Chigga shoots again but misses. Llewellyn circles the building and enters from a side alley. From a second-story window, Chigga fires and hits Llewellyn in the side. Llewellyn scrambles into the street and flags down a pickup truck. As he gets in, Chigga shoots the driver. Llewellyn floors the gas pedal while Chigga riddles the truck with bullets. The vehicle crashes, and Llewellyn stumbles out and hides. He watches Chigga's reflection in a diner window across the street. As Chigga approaches the crashed truck, he follows a blood trail, but just as Llewellyn is about to shoot him, Chigga ducks and escapes behind a car. Llewellyn unloads his shotgun, but finds no one. Chigga has slipped away. Badly wounded, Llewellyn limps across the bridge into Mexico. He encounters a group of young men and offers one of them $500 for his coat. In desperation, he tosses the briefcase over the side of the bridge before collapsing on a staircase in a park. A nearby band plays music as he gives them money and asks for help. Meanwhile, Chigga treats his own injuries. To distract people, he creates an explosion by stuffing cloth into a gas tank and lighting it near a pharmacy. As chaos ensues, he slips in and steals medical supplies. In a hotel room, he carefully removes metal fragments from his leg and stitches himself up. Back in Texas, the sheriff decides to visit Carla Jean in Odessa, hoping to learn Llewellyn's whereabouts. At the same time, Llewellyn wakes up in a Mexican hospital, where Carson Wells is waiting for him. Wells warns Llewellyn that Chigga won't stop and insists that handing over the money is the only way to ensure Carla Jean's safety. Llewellyn refuses. Later, the sheriff speaks to Carla Jean. She says she has no idea where Llewellyn is. The sheriff tells her about the strange airgun Chigga uses, usually reserved for slaughtering livestock. Carla Jean becomes uneasy, asking why he's telling her this. The sheriff replies vaguely, saying his mind often wanders, likely because he's thinking of Chigga. In Mexico, Carson Wells retraces Llewellyn's steps and finds the briefcase near the bridge. When he returns to his hotel room, Chigga is already there. Wells tries to bargain for his life, but Chigga calmly tells him that death is inevitable. He questions whether Wells' adherence to rules had done him any good. Before their conversation can continue, the phone rings. Chigga answers it and then shoots Wells dead. On the line is Llewellyn. Chigga offers him a choice: surrender the money and spare Carla Jean, or face the consequences. Llewellyn refuses and threatens Chigga instead. After recovering, Llewellyn sneaks back into the US, retrieves the hidden briefcase, and buys a change of clothes. He calls Carla Jean and warns her to flee the country while he handles the situation. Chigga soon realizes the original owner of the money had placed 2 tracking devices in the briefcase, one of which had been given to the Mexicans. Furious, he confronts and kills the man responsible. Now, both Chigga and the Mexican gang are hunting Llewellyn. At a bus terminal, Carla Jean calls the sheriff to give him her husband's location, hoping the police can help him before it's too late. Llewellyn, while walking through El Paso, meets a young woman lounging in front of an apartment complex. She offers him a beer. At first, he declines, but she insists. Moments later, the sheriff races to the apartment. He sees people fleeing the building in a panic. Outside, the woman Llewellyn had spoken to lies dead in the pool. The sheriff runs inside, only to find Llewellyn already murdered, killed by the Mexicans. Later that night, Carla Jean arrives and silently exchanges a glance with the sheriff, realizing that Llewellyn is gone. At a diner, the sheriff meets with the local El Paso police chief. They reflect on the increasingly brutal nature of modern crimes. The chief mentions that Chigga tends to return to crime scenes. This thought prompts the sheriff to revisit the apartment where Llewellyn was killed. There, he notices that the lock has been destroyed in the same fashion Chigga is known for. Standing outside, Anton Chigga quietly listens from behind the door. The sheriff cautiously enters the room, scanning every corner for any sign of Chigga. But there's no one there, just an unscrewed air vent cover and a lone coin left behind. It's clear Chigga was there, but he had already vanished. Later, the sheriff visits an old friend and relative, Ellis, seeking counsel. He confides in Ellis about his growing sense of unease, his thoughts of retiring, and the overwhelming weight of the recent events, especially the chaos surrounding Llewellyn and the elusive Anton Chigga. The sheriff feels as though the world has changed into something darker and more brutal, something he can't understand. Ellis listens patiently and then offers a hard truth. He tells the sheriff about another lawman who was shot and killed in his own home, right in front of his wife. The point, Ellis says, is that evil like this isn't new. Violence, cruelty, and senseless killings have always been part of the world. The sheriff isn't facing anything unprecedented. He just has to come to terms with it. Meanwhile, Carla Jean returns home after burying her mother. To her shock, she finds Anton Chigga sitting in her room, calmly waiting. Seeing him, she doesn't beg. Instead, she says what she already knows: this isn't over. She tells Chigga she's never wronged him, has no part in this, and that he has no reason to kill her. Chigga agrees, she hasn't done anything. But in his twisted moral code, he believes he must carry out the consequence of Llewellyn's choices. Because Llewellyn refused the deal, Carla Jean must now pay the price. In a last-ditch effort, Chigga flips a coin and tells her to call it. It's the only illusion of mercy he offers, pretending fate can decide what he will not. But Carla Jean sees through it. She refuses to play. She accuses Chigga of hiding behind the coin to avoid taking responsibility, insisting he chooses to kill. Chance has nothing to do with it. The next scene cuts to Chigga silently stepping out of the house, glancing down to check his boots for any blood, offering no answer to Carla Jean's fate. But her refusal to play his game suggests she met the same end as the others. Driving away from the scene, Chigga's fate takes an unexpected turn. A car barrels through an intersection, and slams into his vehicle. Dazed and injured, his arm clearly broken, he stumbles out of the wreck. Two boys on bicycles approach. Chigga bribes one of them to hand over his shirt. In the film's closing moments, the now-retired sheriff sits at the breakfast table with his wife. He tells her about two dreams he had the previous night. In the first dream, he was younger than his father, who had died years ago. They were together in town, and his father gave him some money that he then lost. The dream left him with a vague feeling of disappointment. The second dream lingers with him more deeply. It took place in an older time, perhaps the frontier days. He and his father were riding horses through a cold, snowy mountain pass. His father silently rode ahead, carrying a horn with fire inside it, symbolizing warmth, safety, and guidance. Though they didn't speak, the sheriff understood. His father was riding ahead to prepare a fire in the darkness, a place to rest, a place to wait. And as the sheriff recounts this dream, he quietly ends with the thought that he knew, somehow, his father would be there when he finally arrived. Subscribe to watch more recaps like these.